G'day guys, my name is Wildkard, welcome back to my channel. It's Tuesday, it's News Day. Super Rugby Round 12, Heiniken Cup Semi-Final qualifications. We've got some news coming out of Wales, some drama out of Wales. We've got some big trash talk from Michael Cheka on the behalf of Argentina. And then we got a lot of, big returns coming out of the Super Rugby. So yeah, let's get on with it. Let's talk about the news this week. So first up, let's go through some Super Rugby news. Blues beat the Rebels on Friday afternoon. Easy win over the Rebels. Rebels just did not look the same without Matt Tuamura. Lacked a lot of leadership, and the defense was really poor. The Blues put on, how many tries was it? This was like a record scoring game where, 11 tries, I almost said 12. 11 tries over the Rebels. The Rebels was able to start off really quickly, and it looked like the Blues was gonna get a pretty tough game on their hands when the Rebels scored twice, like right off the bat, less than 5 minutes. And then the Rebels, as they always do, wasn't able to be consistent for the remainder of the game. And this game with Blues was without Beauden Barrett, so really impressive performance by the Blues. Next up, we've got the Reds against the Highlanders. So this game was really disappointing for me. The Reds played Highlanders at home. This was, on paper, should have been a win for the Reds because Highlanders hasn't been doing, it's probably the it is the lowest ranking original New Zealand team. So obviously Moana Pacifica is also based in New Zealand. But Highlanders is the lowest ranking New Zealand team. And was able to, put up a pretty good, steady performance against the Reds. Control the game when the game was needed. And the Reds, similar situation to the Rebels, was just lacked that bit of a creativity without James O'Connor. And ultimately, it was the discipline, the goal kicking, the penalty goals hurt the Reds. And 19 points to 27 in Suncorp Stadium at home. I was pretty disappointed about this game, to be really frank. And then we had Moana Pacifica on Saturday morning. This would have been afternoon, early afternoon. Moana Pacifica hosting the Waratahs in Auckland. And this was I thought the crowd was a little bit lackluster compared to that. This is supposed to be the home game. This is officially the home game for Moana Pacifica. And unlike the game in Fiji, this was very lackluster. First home game was very lackluster in terms of fan turnout. Moana Pacifica did put up a really good fight. The scrummaging was a big issue. That really hurt Moana Pacifica. Other than that, the overall gameplay, overall attack looked quite good for Moana Pacifica and ended up just falling behind of the Waratahs, and because the Waratahs were able to abuse the scrummaging for easy penalties all night. Something that I did not expect with, Sekobi Kefu as in the scrummaging. But the Waratahs scrum was extremely dominant. This was also a game where Michael Hooper rested. So, this was a little bit brutal. So, as a result, there were actually some talks of moving Moana Pacifica games in the future to the islands. So let's get this news up first. So moving to the islands for Moana Pacifica. So they really wanted to have one of the games follow the lead of Fiji and have one of the games in the Pacific Islands, maybe in Samoa or Tonga. But this will be something that they have to look for in the future. But currently, the team is based in Auckland. So the game in Auckland is the home game. And we saw the fan turnout for the Fijians. I think this will be an absolute spectacle to see the Moana Pacifica play in Tonga or Samoa. So that's something that they are looking into. And also, there's some big signings for the Waratahs that came out. Is that Nemani Nadolo, the Fijian flyer winger, 34 years of age. How old is he? 34 years of age. Has signed. Is expected, it's expected to join the Waratahs end of next year alongside Curly Beale. It just seems like the Waratahs is picking up all these, aging players, former international players from overseas. I was surprised to see that he's joining in the Waratahs and not the Fijian Endurers, because I thought he would be a tremendous addition to the Fijian Endurers, especially he's a really important player for the Fijian national team, and Endurers is looking to become basically the feeding team into the national squad. I thought surely he was going to sign Endurers, but Waratahs apparently Waratahs snatching up, and alongside, if you think about it, alongside Jamie Roberts, Curly Bill, Nadolo, Waratahs is going to be a retirement village really soon. But anyway, I was really surprised that he did not sign with the Fijian and Drua. Following that, later that afternoon, the Chiefs played the Brumbies. Brumbies looked really good this game. This was a much better performance by the Brumbies. Chiefs at home. Brumbies really managed the game quite well in the second half, especially with the kicking game. And Chiefs was really outplayed by the Brumbies. I don't know what else to say. The Brumbies, I'll criticize the Brumbies in the past for pointless kicking, a bit too much pointless kicking. But this game, they managed the kicking exactly that was needed. In the first half, they really controlled that kicking, not really overdoing it. In the second half, they really abused that kicking to their advantage when they were ahead to control and close out the game against a Chiefs team that many people was considering to be the new Crusaders. Literally was talking about the Chiefs being the new Crusaders when they beat the Crusaders 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, and they losing to the Brumbies in pretty convincing fashion. Yeah. And then obviously there was some talks from the Brumbies team that Nick White and Noah Lolesio was going to Japan. And the news came out, I think today, or was it yesterday? Noah Lolesio is going to be staying with the Brumbies. No news, I think Nick is still going to be going to Japan, but at the moment, Lolesio has made a commitment to Brumbies. I'm really surprised. I thought for sure he was going to go overseas for the big money, but he felt, he felt like he owed something to the club because the club gave him an opportunity. Also under the tutelage of Stephen Larkham, one of the former best, Australian fly half ever. So yeah, he's decided to stay in Australia. So you know what? Good on him, mate. Good on him. I thought he was gonna just take the easy way out for the money, but he decides to tough it out and stay in Australia. And good news for the Chiefs, Brodie Retallick might be returning this weekend. He has been injured he was saying that he was going to be injured for 6 to 8 weeks. Might be returning for the end of the month match against the Crusaders. Might be at end of the month, but he's potentially going to be good to go this weekend. So they're going to have to do a scan on him, and if that scan passes, we can see Brodie Retallick back for the Chiefs team, and Chiefs will really need that, especially for that scrummaging for the game this weekend. The Western Force play the Crusaders on the weekend in Western Australia. This was a game where the Crusaders had a bit of slow start, and it was almost like, hey, the Western Force was in it. And in the second half, the Crusaders completely blowing the Force out of the water. Yeah, so it was a really strange phenomenon at the moment for the Crusaders. They seem to have a slow start in the first half consistently. Now there has been consistent weeks where they've come out of the block a step or two behind the opposition and only starting to pick things up in the second half. They lost the Waratahs because of that. They gave away 2 tries early in the first half, and then basically that was too much of a deficit to overcome in the second half. And yeah, they almost happened again this week against the Western Force. But yeah, some brilliant tries from, Will Jordan in the second half. Really just put snuffed out any hopes that Western Force had against the Crusaders. It was really interesting that, Richie Mwanga missed all of his conversions in the first half. He got 1 penalty, but he missed all the conversions. And then he just slotted every conversion. It's like 100% goal kicking rate in the second half. So maybe he needs a bit more time in the warm-up. I don't know what's going on, but it's really, really, really bizarre to see how a player could just go from 0% to 100% after a water break at halftime. And finally, the final game of Super Rugby, Hurricanes versus Drua. This was just one of those games where maybe the game last week that the Druas played against the Highlanders, maybe they just put too much into it. It was literally like watching a test match. They played spectacularly well. Maybe too much energy has been exerted, too much emotional dump following that game. They look really off this game. Hurricanes put up quite an easy win over the Honduras. Yeah, don't know what else to say here. But it's one of those games I think you're just gonna have to deal with. I mean, teams have good days and off days, and it's really about managing those off days, and this is one of them. And it's a lesson you're gonna have to learn sooner or later. And the important thing for the endurers is how they bounce back. Even the All Blacks lose games, once in a while. They don't win all the time, and the what made the All Blacks great and best ever is their ability to bounce back from a loss. So it's all about your ability to bounce back from a loss, and I think the endurers have the talent, and it's all about how they manage that mentally to come back this weekend. And then, oh man, when I saw this, I was like, I honestly, I could not believe what I saw. I was so happy and scared and worried, and I was rushed with emotions. The face, the terror that is the All Blacks front row. Owen Franks is back in New Zealand rugby at 32 years of age. He played his first game for the Hurricanes against the Endurers. This guy was the scariest front rower in the world about 5 years ago. He was, I can't tell you how scary he was. Like the nightmare that I've had with him, winning 2 World Cups for New Zealand, starting tight head. He was just a menace, absolute menace, right? Him and Tony Woodcock in that All Black team in 2011 was just unbelievable. You could not ask for a better front row in the world. And then he went on to win the Rugby World Cup again in 2015. This guy, the face of terror of New Zealand, has returned. And I know a lot of you guys are fans of, Bowden Barrett or whatever. I am fan of Owen Franks. I was, oh man, this guy was, apparently there were stories that he won the Rugby World Cup in 2011, and the next morning he went to the gym with his brother, okay? With his brother, Ben Franks. Oh man, that's my guy. That's my guy. You go to the gym the next day after you win the World Cup, okay? You don't have a hangover. No time for hangovers. You just gotta get back to the gym and start your journey for the next World Cup. This guy, oh my god, I can't believe he's back. So yeah, he obviously had some injury issues going to 2019 Rugby World Cup, and then he went overseas. So basically that ruled him out of any All Black selection in the last 4 years now, 3 years now. But yeah, man, he was injured for 2019. I wasn't able to play for the Rugby World Cup. But man, it'd be good to see him back in form. And he's only 34. He's only 34. Did I say 32? 34. So he's still in his prime. Props can go 35, 36. James Slipper is 34, 32, 33 now. So yeah, can still do it. And he looked good. Look at him. He looked good. He looked exactly how I remembered. Man, the All Blacks front row is saved. I thought the All Blacks front row last year was not very good. And having him back, at least just the experience that he brings back to the team, the leadership, and it's very, very exciting for All Blacks rugby. And so Fiji has added another game, home game. I thought that was amazing home game 2 weeks ago. So they're going to have another home game this weekend against the Chiefs. So this will be a second game in Fiji. This game was originally scheduled in Queensland, obviously due to when they schedule these games, there was lockdowns and everything. Nobody knew what was going to happen. But now everything's cleared up. They're going to be playing in Fiji. So I look forward to this. I wanted to see the atmosphere, the spectacle. I want to see the beach, rugby played by the beach again. So this makes me really happy to see another game for the Endurers. And maybe, just maybe, they can beat the Chiefs this weekend. That'll be amazing. For the Wallabies now, the Ned Heiniken comes home with Paddy Ryan to the Waratahs. Ned Heiniken was a pretty important player for the Waratahs. I thought he was a huge prospect for the Wallabies, and then he left for Japan, but he's now back for the Waratahs. So yeah, quite nice boost to the Waratahs team and potential selection pool for the Wallabies. Next up, we've got the rescheduling day has been confirmed for Moana Pacifica versus the Western Force. This game was supposed to happen in the Super Round 2-3 weeks ago in Melbourne, but that was cancelled due to Western Force getting COVID. So now they're going to be rescheduled 2 weeks from today. It's going to be on a Tuesday on the, which one was it? 28th. So, no, sorry, what is it? Not 28th. Is it 24th or 28th? Yeah, 24th. That's right. I thought it was 24th. So this will be good for the team to be rescheduled. This is the 5th time the Moana Pacifica team has to play a rescheduled game on a Tuesday. So really, really tough. And also Munster versus Toulouse. I watched this. I could not believe what I saw. A penalty shootout in rugby. Last time this happened was, I don't know, like what? 2011? Like 10 years ago or something. That was also in Heiniken Cup as well. But this was a just insane game. This was played in Ireland. Munster home against the away team Toulouse with Anton Dupont. Both teams ended up 24-24 going into extra time, and both teams trying to slot these long-range haymaker drop goals to close out to steal the win in extra time. No team was able to do so. Very close, both teams are going to penalty shootout. The home team, yeah, too much pressure. Joey Carberry, I think he missed the goal. This was, and it was really funny because, you know, this is Ireland. When the Munster team is kicking, everyone's dead silent, right? You know, like the stadium is dead. And you can hear a pin drop in the stadium. And then, you know, everybody had respect. At start, everybody had respect for Toulouse, so nobody was making much noise. And then when Munster, like, missed the kick, everything's going out the window, right? When Toulouse player comes up to take a kick, you can hear, like, people start booing, people start jeering. Obviously, not like you can clearly hear people start trying to put the put the respect factor out of the window. It's just all gone out of the window, doing everything they can to support their team, but it wasn't the case. Munster missed 3 kicks, including I think Joey Carberry missed one right up front, and I thought that was difficult selection. And then this is also sort of like the new format for the penalty shootout, because the last time this penalty shootout, at least when I saw it, well, you just kick from right in front. They just put the ball in front, but the thing is, everybody in your team only can kick once, so you can just keep going until one team, like, eventually you're gonna have your forwards kicking, your props kicking, and then you're gonna just, you know, someone's gonna miss the goal, and then that's the original rules. But now they changed the rules. Now there's only 3 people are kicking, but they'll be kicking from 6 different positions, basically like the 22, the center field, the 2 22-meter corners, the 15, 22-meter intersect corner, and then there will be another one where it's like the 15 and the 40-meter line. So there's one on the 22, one kick on the 40-meter line. So no, it's not one. 3 kicks on the 22, 3 kicks on the 40-meter line, and, you know, obviously one from left-hand side, one from middle, one from the right-hand side. So that's kind of like the 6 kicks that the teams had to perform. And Joey Carberry missed one. I think one of the kickers missed 2 from Munster, and Toulouse. Anton Dupont was the last person kicking for Toulouse, slots it down the center, and wins for Toulouse. This was a crazy game. And then we have some trash talking out of Michael Cheka. He has taken over the Pumas as the head coach going into the Rugby World Cup. And he's basically saying that he's looking to prepare the team to not just finishing, like, you know, semi-finals. He's looking at preparing the team to go into the final to potentially win the World Cup next year. So this is a pretty big call by Michael Cheka. The good news for him is that the Argentinian team has a pretty good pool. So they've got just England and Japan in their pool. So they're very likely going to make it out of the pool. And if they make it out of the pool, they're going to have they could potentially have a pretty easy game out of the pool as well, playing Australia or Wales, which are, you know, quite frankly, are not the tip-top teams in the world at the moment. So they could potentially put that off and go into semi-finals against potentially the All Blacks or France or South Africa. So it's going to be difficult in semi-finals, but at least they can have a pretty easy run to that semi-finals by the looks of things. And Michael Cheka, if he does everything right, he might get himself into the semi-finals. Just put that upset over the French team or the All Blacks. Especially over the All Blacks, like he's done against the All Blacks, like in 2020, they could go into the finals. There's a good chance. He's been given a really, really pool. Again, Michael Cheka getting a really good Rugby World Cup pool. I feel like I've seen that before. Anyway, Eddie Jones has been talking to Racing 92 in the French side, potentially taking over Laurent Travers over the French team after his tenure over with the England rugby. His run with England rugby is going to end at the end of the Rugby World Cup 2023. So yeah, Sir Eddie, good luck to you, mate. Hopefully you will go to Toulouse with a Rugby World Cup in your pocket. But you know, Michael Cheka is coming for you, buddy. Your old mate from Randwick is coming for you. So McGeehan. So yeah, there's some issues, big issues coming out of Wales. So it's an absolute dumpster fire from Wales at the moment. So basically Wales, let's go through this news first. There was a leaked document of Wales. Potentially they're looking at cutting one of the regions to move, let's like some discussions on how they should move forward. There's like a plan that's being discussed. And then they're looking at potentially cutting a region, looking at potentially merging Ospreys and the Dragons. No, not Ospreys. Is it Ospreys and Dragons? Was it Ospreys and Dragons? Looking at merging two of the teams. And it was pretty much like a dumpster fire when this was leaked. Everybody, no one's happy. McGeehan was talked about what he thought of this. He thinks that basically the Welsh sides needs to improve their... He thinks that the Welsh side needs to, instead of like conglomerating the upper tier regions, he thinks that it should kind of merge the academies in the lower tiers and have reduced the academies from 4 down to 2 and have the 2 academies, 4 down to 2, and have the 2 academies play more games against the English and Irish academies. So that's kind of like his plan, but it was a dumpster fire when they were talking about cutting another the potential league. So it was basically the Welsh Rugby Union was out just on emergency repairs, and then this was on top of more shenanigans that came out of the Welsh side. So basically the second tier team was in Wales had, due to COVID, had some of the games cancelled. So Pontypool was a team that's been on top of the ladder. They were denied promotion to the higher tier multiple years now due to COVID, and this year once again they're not going to get promoted due to cancellation of one of the games. So instead of offering like giving the club the win or reschedule the game, this was a game against, which one was it? Against Pontypool, against Bordeaux. Instead of rescheduling the game or giving Pontypool the win because it was Bordeaux that was affected by COVID, neither of those were given. As a result, Pontypool was missing 2 games and they were not able to win the season because of the 2 missed games. Yeah, so Pontypool basically came out and slammed Wales Rugby Union, and they are no longer they finished in 3rd place. And if they had won the 2 games that they missed out with bonus point, they could still win the season, and they would not be able to be promoted. So there was a lot of did a lot more reading into this. So yeah, this was Welsh Rugby Union, and there's talks about getting people like the Welsh Rugby Union essentially failing the basic duties as in this sort of as like the overarching body of this situation. And there's some talks of trying to get clubs like a different overseeing body looking after the clubs. I think what do they call it, like a different basically they're looking at potentially having different people looking after the Welsh Rugby Union clubs instead of Wales Rugby Union. So just it felt like they're not being represented. I thought really like poor form, having the games cancelled and not awarding the team the free win or giving an opportunity to the game to reschedule. Yeah, really, really poor form by Wales Rugby. So let's look at some Springbok news. Actually, let's look at this one first. So Paul Valemsa is out of He's a international player for France. Let's just quickly get through that. So now let's go to Spain. So this actually happened a couple weeks ago. So Spain has been Spain was basically, what do you call it? Disqualified. Spain was disqualified from the Rugby World Cup 2023 again after they were qualified for the 2019 World Cup, and they got disqualified due to eligibility issues. So basically, they selected players that weren't eligible to play for them to help them secure the placement for Rugby World Cup. So that's the reason why in 2019 Russia was playing in the Rugby World Cup. They were there in place of the Spain. So once again, Spain has breached the eligibility rules, and then apparently there were some leaked documents this week that the teams had fake travel documents showing the players. So basically, if you wanted to get residency, you're not allowed to leave the country more than 2 months in 36-month period, which was not the case. The player, Gavin Vandenberg, was literally traveling around Europe, posting on his Instagram like an idiot, showing that he was actually out of the country for more than 2 consecutive months. And then, yeah, he wasn't actually eligible to play for Spain. And they had apparently made like fake travel stamps for him to try to get him to be eligible. And this was discovered and really, really, really poor. This was, as a result, like, look at this guy. He was literally posting on social media, tagging himself as Safa touring Europe. Sure, man, way to go to blow your own career. And yeah, and then this guy was essentially blew his own chance of residency with Spain, and he played for Spain, helped Spain securing that Rugby World Cup spot in 2023, and as a result, Spain got disqualified again. So Romania is now automatically qualifies for the Spain spot, and Portugal will replace Romania's spot in the qualifying rounds to potentially try get the next European spot going into the Rugby World Cup. Yeah. What an idiot. What an idiot. Just post everything on social media, right? So some Springbok news. Subu Nkosi, one of the big upcoming stars for the Springbok Rugby. He's going to be under Jake White at the Bulls. So yeah, this is looking really, really good signing for Jake White for the Bulls. A lot of fans might be happy. So there's some talks about, Dan Carter and Richie McCaw post-rugby career struggles. Yeah, we saw like Richie McCaw was doing like some tourism stuff out of the retirement, and it's really, really difficult for these players to find a job. But hey, just the thing, Carter and Sir Richie, if you guys really want, you can definitely come to my podcast and we can talk about anything you want. The All Blacks, rugby, more than happy to have you guys on board, mate. So Carter, especially Sir Richie, if you guys ever want to come on to talk about rugby, you're welcome. You're not going to get paid, but you're welcome to do something with your free time. And then, so Bill Sweeney from the RFU is in hospital with a blood clot. So yeah, bad news for RFU. And what else do we have? Oh yeah, the Springboks. So this is just finishing off some of the final bit of news. The Springboks rugby had, going into a private equity deal with CVC, who already owns like Six Nations, and they made it very clear in this meeting, the intention of this is not to sell the Springboks. It's basically getting some extra funding to support them. They actually did quite well out of the Lions tour, raising 629 million in sponsorship and broadcasting. So broadcasting, they got 629 million rand for broadcasting, 329 million for sponsorship. This is really good considering there was no crowd. And, so this is basically like, 950 million rand, which if you convert to like Australian, New Zealand dollars, it's about 800 million Australian dollars or so, which is quite good, which like 800 million, not 880 million Australian dollars, which is about how much you will get. They get about $100 million or something for the Lions tour. So it's really good considering that no crowd was in attendance. I was surprised by how good these numbers were. So really good. But ultimately, the goal is to get more funding into South African rugby. They basically talk about they can't keep relying on the government for the money, and they have to bring in the venture capital firm to support them. And I think the last thing we're going to look at is a Samoan rugby player, formerly played for the Waratahs, Kelly Mefua. He fell into a river from a bridge in France. It's actually unclear whether he fell in or if he like jumped in by himself. But his teammate tried to save him, Christopher Valtoa, and he was, in fact, that his teammate who tried to save him had to be rescued, and it was found to be in hypothermia. But the Moe4 was found to be dead the next morning. Really, really bad news for the Samoan rugby fans. Anyway, guys, that's the news for today. Thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts on any of the articles today. And like, comment, and subscribe, yada, yada, yada. I'll see you guys later this week. Owen Franks returning. Woo! Cheers, guys.